Samara Weaving marries into a wealthy family, pulls a card from a devil-controlled game box on her wedding night, and spends the next 2 hours being hunted through her mansion in a wedding dress. Ready or Not from 2019 is a near-perfect horror comedy, and with the sequel in theaters right now, we're asking the question, can lightning possibly strike twice? Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Coddington, joined with fellow co-host and filmmaker, John Woolscroft.
Did you find me? That's for our visual audience.
That's for our visual audience. Our audio-only audience is going, what the hell is going
why
on?
was there dead air? Yeah.
Why was there I always have to do that because I always listen back to our episodes and I do it in the car. So I was listening back to one of our episodes. I'm like, man, that gag is really only good for the visual folks.
It's easy to forget that people just listen to the audio only version.
Yeah. We love our audio only audience. This week we are totally riding that Ready or Not wave that's going to be coming because Ready or Not 2 is out in theaters by the time this episode comes out. And we're going to be talking about 2019's Ready or Not. And this week we have ourselves a very special guest. She's back on the podcast. We have KT Baldassaro of Movie Runtime. And what's your name of the podcast again is What If I Don't Like It?
That is correct.
That is correct. Welcome back to the podcast, Katie.
Thanks. I feel super tempted to be like, back bad, ironclad. Super excited to be here. I loved being on the first time. Loved when you came onto the show to talk about fried green tomatoes. Still got to get you on the show, John. We'll figure out a movie soon.
Yeah, that fried green tomatoes episode, and I'll link it in the show notes, was really fun. Just because I totally was expecting to hate the movie, and I ended up actually loving the film.
Hey, KT, throw a movie out at me, and let's make this happen.
Well, the thing is that you have to. I don't know what movies you haven't seen, which is a good thing because if I did, you'd have to be like, "How did she know?"
You have to do it with that voice too, like, how does she know?
How does she know? A movie that you haven't seen because you have been avoiding it, even though people you trust tell you it's pretty good. A lot of people say Titanic right off the gun. That's a first choice. It's Titanic.
Yeah. Titanic is just one of those perfect middle movies. It's not for intelligent people or stupid people. It's just right in the middle.
It's
we could talk about the LSD that happened on set. That's pretty interesting.
Wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know that LSD
You
was
didn't know that somebody put LSD in the clam chowder during one of the days of shooting? And people, extras, everybody lost it. They all had to go to emergency care.
Well, it's probably the only way Leo DiCaprio could be around older women.
What's that? You're not 26 years old? Okay. Oh, God. Before we get to our synopsis and get into our review of Ready or Not, just to remind everybody, if you like this podcast or you haven't listened to this podcast yet, or maybe you're just like, hey, how can I support Brian and John? Do me a favor and go to our website, cinemapsychoshow.com/follow, and follow us on your favorite podcast app of choice. And of course, if you're watching us here on YouTube, hey, thank you so much for doing that. Do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, drop us a comment. Let us know. Did you see Ready or Not 2? What did you think of it? We really want to know. With that said, let's get into the ubiquitous IMDb synopsis.
I can't wait to talk about this Margot Robbie movie.
I totally thought it was Margot Robbie at first too.
She gets it all the time, poor thing.
And kudos for you for starting this episode, unlike all 5 of the podcasts that I listened to today, by not saying, and Ready or Not, let's talk about Ready or Not.
Oh, yeah. I'm not clever enough to do that. I don't KT, I don't have writers. That's the thing. Is they had like 2 interns come up with that one. Hey, I got an idea for this YouTube intro. Why don't we just say Ready or Not? Let's get into Ready or Not. You got it?
Don't hide. Let's seek the truth.
Bam. All right. So the IMDb synopsis for this is A bride's wedding night takes a sinister turn when her eccentric new in-laws force her to take part in a terrifying game. Yeah.
Tracks. Yeah, I mean,
Tracks.
That's the starting point, which is
I love IMDb when they have these, because someone like spent a good 2 hours in front of ChatGPT coming up with that.
And I read this synopsis aloud last night because I had a friend come over to watch a movie, and he doesn't typically like horror movies. And I was like, what do you think about this? And I'm always the worst person to tell you what a movie is about if I've already seen it, because I'll wind up I'll be like, oh yeah, and it's got this practical effects, and start telling you something you do not need to know. You just want to know what the movie's about. So I read this to them, and they were just like, huh. I feel like that tells me nothing.
It tells you absolutely nothing, and that's the way IMDb likes it. They like to just give you, like, we did the one for Send Help last week, and I was like, that really doesn't speak to any of the plot at all outside of they're on an island. Like, none of the horror and fake castration.
Well, speaking of horror, I'd say this movie, to me, and it's a hybrid, but I'd say this movie is more of a comedy / satire than it is a horror movie. I mean, what do you guys think?
KT,
With a
what do you think?
dash of action as well, because there's a lot of scenes that are more thrilling because you're playing cat and mouse than horrific. Although there's plenty of horror, but it felt like, oh yeah, no, these are techniques that I'm seeing used in the cinematography for action, especially in the like roll scene when they're in the car and they crash, and you're like, oh, that's that really cool camera setup.
Yes.
For rolling to actors, because it doesn't cut away, and we keep our Margot Robbie or Margot Robbie. No, Samara Weaving was truly makes this movie. So I'll say her name.
Yeah. No, I totally got the comedy vibes more in this one. Like one, the setups of the maids that all look the same, and how each one of them dies, and how every time one of them dies, one of the rich assholes says, "Oh, she was my favorite." I'm like, come on.
And the like sociopathy of making them all dressed like that, even the au pair, you're like, this is how do you tell them apart? We would prefer we did not tell them apart.
Yeah, totally.
And yet they have a favorite anyway.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that this movie has its comic tone to it, because this movie, especially in like B movies, like canon movies of the 70s and 80s, like the whole some guy on an island being hunted by, it's always like the action franchise, right? So it's like, okay, how do we delineate this? How do we separate it? Okay, let's make it an aristocratic mansion full of idiots and rich buffoons, and just make it humorous so it doesn't feel like, the most deadliest game.
Yeah, totally.
It did remind me of Predator. You're right. That's probably
bit.
why I was into it.
Yeah. Huh. So this movie opens with a wedding, of all things. It opens with, Samara Weaving, also known as Margot Robbie's doppelganger, getting married into a wealthy family. And this leads me to thinking, have we all had any like nasty in-law stories, or the experience of marrying into, or even just like having a relationship with somebody, even if it's just like, you're not married to them, but then it ends up being like the in-laws hate you, or the family hates you, or there's some sort of weirdness? Because that's, I think, at the core what this movie does really well, is it takes a common trope that I think anyone who's ever been in a relationship has dealt with at one time or another, and that's your significant other's parents or extended family just like not jiving with you. So KT, you wanna answer that a little bit, if you've dealt with anything like that first?
Well, I think that it's really a fascinating like exaggeration of basically when you get married to anybody, because they're using the concept of traditions. This is the family tradition to play this game and sometimes murder a person. So like there are these objectionable, stupid traditions that you get involved in when you marry someone. especially if you marry someone outside of, say, your economic bracket or anything like that. And I personally had a very interesting time watching this movie both times, but I'll save the second time for, it's unrelated to this conversation. We'll say in a second. The first time I watched it, I had the framing of the fact that I did marry into a family that is significantly like richer than I am understanding, and they grew up that way too. And like, it's sometimes super, super scary, the stupid little things like that they do. And so the comedy that they find in the realism of the expressing them that you get in shows like Succession or White Lotus is there. And it's so necessary for wiping the slate between the extreme horror that you're seeing. Like you see the wonderful practical effects. So much of this was practical effects. It was a $6 million budget.
I love that.
Which is like nothing, and then it made 57 million, so you can see why they threw all the screams at this guy. She gets the arrow in her mouth, that one, and falls down, and like the cut to them, and they barely have the time to be horrified. They're just annoyed. And and I will say that so much of my in-laws is that they get so annoyed so easily over things that you're like, oh wow, okay, I gotta laugh, because if I don't laugh, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Yeah. John, what about you? Have you ever dealt with any situations like that?
I would
Not
say,
murdering, just like shitty parents of significant others.
This go around, I will say yes. And I don't have any problem with saying that my future mother-in-law is a monster and her siblings suck. So.
But do you think they would try to put you in some sort of like hunter game type situation to, support the devil that they worship?
Oh, if they needed to, they would kill me. Yeah. They wouldn't think twice about it.
They would, nope.
Yeah.
Wouldn't think twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never, I lucked out. Like I'll be the first to say I lucked out. I married into actually a family that is pretty nice and all that. But I have in past relationships absolutely dealt with this sort of situation. Not the murdery devil stuff, but just like the overt, like, we don't think you're good enough for our daughter, like that whole thing. And we think you're weird and trying to sabotage the relationship shit. A lot of that stuff. Again, not in my current relationship, not with my marriage. That's actually the best part, is didn't get any of that. But yeah, in past relationships, I absolutely have had that like nasty sort of shit.
See, I've only ever dated other artists, so their parents are used to it.
I mean, it was a thing where just it was well before you knew me, John. But like, right out of high school, I dated someone and their parents just hated me. And like, I'm not even kidding when I say they tried to actively sabotage the relationship.
Woof.
In multiple ways. Yeah. And it backfired on them, which I laugh at. But it's a thing that I think I love movies like this where they take a nugget of actual things that occur to real people and they extrapolate it. Like, that's a situation that I said, like, everybody's dealt with at one time, or at least has known somebody at one time. But it's like, what if you took that family and instead of them just saying like, we don't think you're good enough for our kid, but it's more or less because we want to sacrifice you to Satan. Like, it's a great concept.
I mean, even more than just having in-laws, like, this group of people is like what you would call old rich, not new rich.
Oh yes.
This isn't like rich. Logan Paul new rich, like this is long family.
He doesn't
history.
have a McDonald's in his house. Like that's what I think, like the delineation of old and new rich. Like, if you're Richie Rich level, I have a McDonald's in my house, you're kind of new rich. Okay. That's new wealth.
Well, it's funny
these
that
are our mahogany, mahogany stairs rich.
Well, it's funny that we mentioned Titanic at the top of this episode, because they mention that in that movie where it's like Rose's mother says like, oh, the Molly Brown's new rich, as compared to us, like, we're more classy that way. And so not only are they rich, but they're insanely rich, and it shows that they don't live like the rest of us. So something's already off.
But there's a reason why they don't live like the rest of us, and it isn't because they're Republicans.
It's because they work so hard and they pull themselves up by their bootstraps.
100%, right? 100%. No, it's because they sold their souls to Satan. So the game here is that Grace marries into this ultra wealthy family, and they have a tradition. Traditions, as you said, KT, like we all kind of see them when we marry into a family. Instead of just like, hey, we go to Graham's house on Christmas, it's hey, we all on the wedding night pull out a card from a creepy box that apparently is controlled by the devil. And yeah, we play whatever game the devil tells you to play. So it's a funny concept because it mashes like these two different tones of the film in a way that like I don't think I've seen in a horror movie done well in a while. Like you've got a serious nature happening of, hey, we play this game where we kill somebody through hide and seek, but it's like, oh yeah, you could choose Old Maid or Uno out of the box.
Some checkers, yeah.
Or checkers.
See, all I could think was because I come from a long line of heavy drinkers in my family. All I can think is, what if somebody got like blacked out drunk on their wedding night and they passed out before midnight and they couldn't wake them up to play? They just have to kill them in their sleep.
Yeah,
it's easier.
Yeah, no, that's 100% it. Is they kill you.
And like, I'm so curious here because there are all the other possible games, but this is the only one where they kill somebody. Why is that part of this story? Why put that there at all? That like sometimes they just play chess, and even if you lose, it's NBD. Like you should still have to win chess.
So I have an idea. Why this is the case. Okay, my theory is that the people who end up not getting hide and seek are shitty human beings to begin with. Okay? So they're shitty human beings to begin with because every one of the significant others that's already in the family that got like Old Maid, like that doofus with the crossbow, he got Old Maid. And someone else got like, I don't know, what other kind of game.
Checkers or something like that.
Checkers or some shit. So they're already shit humans to begin with. Like they're already like damned, or they would find benefit in being part of this family, or like the devil, LaBelle is what his name they call him by, Mr. LaBelle. They have a benefit to them being part of the family. Whereas Grace, being someone who is not born into money, is someone who has their own will, and someone who ultimately would be a threat to Mr. LaBelle and the family, might be someone that is worthy of killing. And that's why I think the box is more intelligent than what we see. It's like, if you don't fit the family, then yeah, we're playing hide and seek.
I think the randomness of it too is, that's something the devil
what I'm saying.
would
I don't
do.
think it's random.
Well, I wanted to ask you guys, because we'll jump forward a little bit, but towards the end there are sequence where we see each character standing alone in a like a full shot of a room, and we get the crazy aunt with the like blown back white hair. I forget what her name is, and she's standing not in the room.
Yeah.
Thank you. Not in the room where the box is supposed to be. And she's not standing with the box, but she's holding a card from the box that says hide and seek. Mm-hmm. And she's like fiddling with it and looking really crazy. And I thought, like, are they trying to say that she fixed it? That she has the capacity to fix it?
I don't know.
I think it might be her card because you
get to keep it. You got to put it back in the box.
Well,
we only got so many cards.
Katie, it's a blank card. Like Mr. LaBelle is the one coming up with it.
But I've definitely seen that magic trick where you put a blank card in, you press the button, the other comes out, but it's not the same. It's a different compartment, and
well.
inside that compartment, she could have. I mean, the whole thing is that it's games, and rich people always fix everything.
That is true.
But I
That
love
is
both
true.
of these interpretations.
Yeah, I viewed it as it's not chance that it is the person's damn, because if you look at every one of the significant others, they all had something to gain from being part of the family, and so they're more pliable, they're more they can be manipulated easy, whereas Grace is not. And like Helene brought it up in her one little flashback. She said, "Oh, I had to kill the one person I loved," and it's more or less thought of like, yeah, the person the last time they did hide and seek was someone who didn't fit the family, and that Helene had to accept that fate and become the crazed person that she is in the movie.
And it pushes her more towards the family. So this is like, again, they need to push this lost son back towards the family.
Yeah. So can we talk real quickly about the family, just like to kind of give an overall sense? So we have our quote unquote main male character, Alex, which, by the way, this movie, Adam Brody as Daniel is the main character. He has the arc.
This was at his peak of being relevant.
Yes. Right. But it's like, it's probably in screenwriting probably should have been Alex and not Daniel. But anyways, so we have his brother, who's kind of a sleaze, and his like well-to-do wife. The mom and dad are there. The mom's played by Andie MacDowell. The dad doesn't feel like that, Samara Weaving's character fits in the family. However, Andie MacDowell's a little bit more understanding. We have the crazed aunt, as we had mentioned. And
the dad's played by the guy who played Kittredge in Mission Impossible, the original Mission Impossible.
We have then we eventually get to meet Alex's dickhead sister and her like even bigger dickhead,
the sister cracks me up. I'm sorry. The sister cracks me up, like, because in the one scene where she actually when she first kills one of the maids, shoots her in the face with a gun. She lost her gun and then immediately is like, all right, we got to keep this together. We got to keep this together. Let's do some blow. And like does a whole bunch of blow in front of a mirror.
Well, the funny
screams.
The funny thing is, if this wasn't a comedy, you would actually feel better because you could tell this family has horrifically traumatized her, over years. And like, if it wasn't supposed to be funny, you'd be like, oh man, this is tragic, actually.
Well, that's often the edge with shows, again, like Succession and White Lotus. If you're watching it a certain way, you're like, is this funny?
You're the family Fredo,
Yeah.
Do you not like White Lotus, Katie?
I love White Lotus, but I do also see certain points where I'm like, oh, this is so true, though. It's kind of like cuts both ways for a moment. You're like, yeah.
No, I find it hilarious. Although the last season I didn't really like the last season though. I thought it was kind of.
You didn't like Parker Posey? Well,
Parker Posey's hilarious. I think it was just like it took too long to get to like the payoff of something.
Hey, what is this? The White Lotus podcast? What's going on here?
Hey, we're talking about rich people being shitty. Okay, how about that?
But then what I like to call our supporting cast, people who are there to die, maids, butlers, servants, nannies.
You mean Two-Face the maid? or the butler? Excuse me, Two-Face the butler.
The butler looked like Steven Weber from Wings.
Oh, he did.
I kept thinking like. Maybe.
Steven Weber, did you get a role?
I mean, he was available. He would have fucking ate this. He would have done it for free.
Yeah. It's like all you have to do is sing opera, and then have one of the most visually crazy car crashes ever. Like that's it.
But so, I hate Alex even before the end of this movie, which we'll
he's
get
kind
to.
of a turd.
But can we just talk about his logic here? So.
Yes.
We get to the point where she sees a murder happen. She hears them talking about it because the jackass sister accidentally kills one of the sex maids. And
I mean, that's what they are.
Yeah.
They are sex maids.
Well, she says he likes the way I dance. The one of them, not this one, but another maid.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like they're just they look like they're from a Robert Palmer music video from the 80s. Okay.
Yeah.
That's how I know we're old. It's like, oh yeah, remember Robert Palmer in the music video where they all look the same.
Yeah. But because she saw that happen and heard this talking, like that allows now Alex can break down what's going on to her and everything, and she's like, you knew that there was a chance that we got married, that I could be killed. And he goes, if I didn't propose to you, you would have left me. And I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah.
I mean, because at this point, we're still supposed to empathize with him. But I'm like, you knew, like, let's just say it's a deck of cards. And let's say it is random. You got a 1 in 52 chance that you're going to be killing your spouse on your wedding night. You're going to be killing this person. And you took that 1 in 52 chance.
Yeah.
Because he's that spoiled. He doesn't think it'll happen to him.
And I'm sorry, you don't get to have that true love if your person will leave you if you don't get married to them. But like, then you have to let them go.
If you really cared about the person, you would not subject them to your crazy fucking family and the bizarro tradition. Like that's my whole contention is like, why would you not bring this up like on date number 2?
Well, I mean, how do you say, my great grandfather met this mysterious man on a boat and he solved this box riddle, and then we play this game on our wedding nights where there's a chance we hunt you to your death because we're pretty sure the guy on the boat was Satan.
I get you're not going to get some Netflix and chill action with that sort of thing. Like I get that totally, but it's kind of common courtesy to disclose that you have a Satan worshiping family.
Or just live in sin, as they say. Like, you don't have to get married. He even blames her at the end and is like, you're the one who said we needed to do. I think this is actually a very interesting character to include in this, because it's very easy for us to just be like, this shitty boyfriend. He's shitty the whole time. She wants to marry him. We don't even ever really know why. But like, he slowly starts to have his facade fall apart, and you get to see that he's a brat and he's spoiled, and he's only doing this out of fear of losing her. And that point at the end where he finally realizes he can't. He's like, I'll sacrifice everything and be the hero because that will give me the girl. And that moment at the end where like, oh no, the girl also has to agree. And he decides to kill her. Like, it's a real good point for me to see like, oh, he is the ultimate bad guy in this shitty family, even though we were kind of rooting for him. And so it gives the movie a little bit more flavor than, say, a movie normally does.
I think what's interesting though is that I think every wealthy family, at least the ones that I've met and have experienced, there's always like that one person in that wealthy family who's like, I'm not like them, I'm separate. And it's like it's almost the in vogue thing to say like, I'm not a wealthy asshole. See, I give to charity. See, I actually am a job creator because I do this. See, I go to a soup kitchen. See, I'm different. But ultimately, they're still the same person when you peel back the veneer of being like, because ultimately you have a life experience that is vastly different from everybody else. And that, I think, does play into a little bit of Alex's character. John, do you have a thought?
No, I think you hit the nail right on the head there. But one problem I do have is that when we get the family dynamics, we do find out that Samara's character in this does not have any family whatsoever. She was part of like foster, but in the second one, she has a sister.
We don't know. I haven't seen the second one yet.
Oh, well, you've seen the trailer?
Yeah, we don't need to go into that yet because we don't know. That's outside of the bounds of the movie yet. But yeah, I get it.
I was going to ask that.
And maybe the sequel will explain that a little bit, because that
foster sister.
That's the only thing I'm thinking.
Yeah,
foster sister,
long lost sister. Now that she's super rich, somebody came out of the woodwork.
I mean, if they're super rich assholes that are masters of the universe, you're telling me like one of them doesn't have Ancestry.com as like their business and can pull out the DNA and say, ha, here's your long lost sister that you didn't know about. You know what I mean?
And I will say this about this family. One thing that I think really works with this movie is that nobody really wants to do this. They just have to. And I think that's an interesting dynamic, is that they're not like, oh, thank God we got hide and seek so we can kill this bitch.
Do you know why they don't want to do it? Because it's work. It's work.
They have so many other people try for so long. Like, why
Yeah.
can't the butler just get it done? They only do it because everyone else is already dead.
Yes. They killed all the help accidentally. Okay. And the butler, who you could say is the most competent of the help, he ends up being two-faced and dying, because Grace is smarter than him.
Well, when you say two-faced, you mean Harvey Dent, right?
I mean Harvey Dent.
Yeah, because...
Well, I mean, he gets hit with tea and his face becomes
boiling water. Yeah.
From one half of the face, kind of like a certain district attorney in Gotham City.
I also don't think that, except for maybe the aunt who's so jaded because it happened to her, I don't think that they actually want to kill, even if they didn't have to work at it. I think it's a means to an end to save their own hide.
Yeah. I think the woman who marries the other brother, though, kind of wants to. And that's the thing. It's very interesting that you find out he told her. So we have this dynamic of like, who would tell anybody? Who would ever say yes? And I like that the film says someone would say yes, and believe it or not, that's worse.
Yeah.
That's very interesting about the structure of a movie like this, because if you have a bunch of characters just separating and walking around trying to find our main character, you do have like these little pocket clusters you can have of exposition. Yeah. And that's one where it's like, you knew, and she's like, yeah, but I couldn't go back to being poor. I had to take the chance. And, it's like, she's, you're right. She also is irredeemable.
I also get the vibe that sister-in-law would totally like jump from one brother to the other brother. Like she views it as, well, he's the favorite son. I married the fuck up alcoholic son. I will just jump to him. Like, even when she says like, oh, Alex, sweetie, where are you at? It's like, ew. Yeah. It's like, really? I mean, you got Caligula shit going on here, but come on.
Earlier, in the movie too, when, they keep him in a room, the Alex, pronouns. They keep Alex in a room because, they're like, hey, you should probably just sit this out because you do love this woman. We're about to hunt to death. They have this other sister that we're talking about, like watching the door, and he just goes out like a little secret passage, and she comes in, she goes, do you want some company? And I'm like, that could be a normal thing. Like, do you want me to hang out with
Charity,
you?
by the way.
Yeah, charity. Or it could mean, do you want some company? Like, oh, I can soothe you with my vagina.
Yeah, you up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. No, I think that's the vibe.
Yeah.
There. And at least I'm glad I'm not the only one who picked up on that.
Funny to talk about the fuck up brother again, Adam Brody's Daniel, because the reason I say that he's the main character of this, because he has the only real arc, is the beginning of the movie. You get that like, hey, what's going on scene where, one little kid is helping another little kid hide so they don't have to participate in what we probably assume is the aunt's husband being murdered the last time they did hide and seek. And the whole reason that he's so fucked up is because he might be truly the only one that sees how horrific this is and how like fucked up their family is. Maybe they should all die if this is something that they have to do. And to the point where he actively sabotages the family and their goal to get her. I mean, he still kind of sucks because, like, I guess every time. Sorry for that pause. Every time he does have an out for her. So yeah,
he begrudgingly at one point says like, "I'll give you 10 seconds."
Well, even when he finds her in the woods and knocks her out, which, by the way, you can't butt somebody in the head with a gun. You will 90% of the time kill them. That's a cerebral hematoma. They're dead. But yeah. And but even after they have her, at the end of the movie, they want to do the sacrifice. He ended up sabotaging them and giving them all. It was an ipecac. The thing that you give to a toddler if they
Yeah.
eat poison, so they barf it up or whatever.
Something along
He
those lines.
he says what he literally says is stomach acid.
Yes. Oh,
The-
yeah, it was stomach acid, not Epicac.
Okay, yeah, but
Yeah.
they're all puking and stuff, so he can get her out again. So yeah, he's the only one that I think is remote, other than our main heroine. The only person who is redeemable, and the only person that has an arc through this thing.
Well, he is the first person we see contribute to someone dying.
Yes.
He's the little kid at the beginning who tells everyone where that guy is and gets him killed. So it's like because he killed someone at such a young age, he's had so long to have the remorse that he tries to redeem himself, but he is also fully aware of the like, can I be redeemed? I helped kill someone so much earlier in my life.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I think he purposely married somebody who just sucked top to bottom, because she's like, if I have to get married to somebody and put them in this danger, I'm going to marry a woman that I can't stand whatsoever, who's kind of an irredeemable wench.
Well, I also think it goes back to my theory of you find someone who is a piece of shit that fits the piece of shit family and the family that, and they won't die, so he won't be forced to have to go through that. I think that's part of it. I don't think that Daniel hates his wife and has never had any emotion. Well, I think at the point I think at the point that we find him in this movie, yeah, he has finally got to that. But I think in the entire relationship he's had with her, I don't think he's been like, I've hated her from the start. I think it was more like he was cognizant that, hey, the type of person I'm going to marry has to be someone that I know would be a quote unquote asset and fit within this dynamic of fuckery here. You know what I mean? Because
or even it's
yeah.
No, it's just the end result of like he may have told other women he was in love with and they said no because he doesn't want to bring anybody in without them knowing. So the only person who would say yes to a deal with the devil is gonna not be super great.
Yeah. And also not be someone who is hunted down, like clearly. Like again, if my theory kind of holds true, which I more I talk about it, more I think I might be right.
I think so. I like it.
Yeah. But let's talk a little bit about Grace. Because we talked about the fucked up family. Let's talk about Grace. Grace is a character that clearly is like, I want to be part of this family, but I'm clearly aware that they're fucked up. And it isn't until we see the turn of them hunting her that we see her kind of become more and more of the hero in this. Early on, I find it hilarious that she finds like the elephant hunting gun and the bullets with it, and we're like, yay, she's got a weapon finally. But the movie gives us a giant middle finger when she tries to use it on the butler.
That's good for him, though, by the way, because that gun, it would have blown his head clean off.
Elephants.
Yeah. It's for elephants.
I was watching it with someone who is into ammunition and guns, and like they totally, it was the second time we saw it. They totally blew the scene though, because as it's starting, he's like, "That's not going to have anything in it. That's going to be just for display." And I was like, "Oh, no."
Yeah. But it's the moment where you're just like, yeah, she's gonna fucking get him, because everyone else is hunting her with like, crossbows and giant axes and. No one's using there's maybe like old fashioned guns. And so you think like, oh, yay, Grace has finally got a leg up on them. But yes, it turns out that those are for display purposes. There's no ammo in them.
I wish there was
a
more.
Rambo thing.
Yeah. I wish there was more to Grace. I think she's scenery.
Really?
Yeah, it's the two brothers. I feel that they tried to flesh out. One just to subvert us, and that he was a scumbag in the end. The groom, and the other brother has
Daniel.
She is really just there to survive and scream. And I wish that there was a little bit more to her, because like everybody else in the movie too is one dimensional on purpose. They're there to be comedically rich, right?
Yeah.
So you don't really think too much about the other characters because they're just rich one dimensional doofuses. But yeah, I wish that there was just more to her. I think she's a poster. You know, I could see a bride outfit with bullets on and a gun like on a wall more than I see her as a fully fleshed out character.
Oh,
KT, what do you think?
I have to disagree there a lot. I think because it's going for an action trope, it's a bit of a satire tongue in cheek, that when she gets to the point where she has the Rambo thing and the dress is torn and she's wearing the chucks and she's all dirty, she stops and she looks at herself and she goes, ugh. Like, oh Jesus, like they're playing along with this idea, and the fact that happens is it's part of her arc. We see her as this like beautiful twiggy woman, blonde at the beginning, and she starts to become, well, not even become, we start to see how resilient she is. It's not like, oh, she has to have an arc. Like, this was always in her. She's just gonna do this. And I think that might be the intention, because the family name is Le Doma, which is like almost Le Dommage or Quel Dommage, which is like to break or like pitiful. Like, so they're trying to break her and she can't be broken. And that's why we see her almost in a superhero costume at that point, where she's wearing what feels like ridiculous or exaggerated. Again, because this is a satire, so it's kind of the lexicon we're using.
But she was never portrayed as somebody that would not be able to save herself, and then she has to like overcome that.
In horror movies like this, her character would be that way. We would just assume right away that she needed to be saved by a man. Her physicality, her type, the fact that she's blonde, that she's so thin, she doesn't look like a muscular person. Her job isn't described as like outdoorsy or anything like that. We're given not very much at the beginning, partly because we're supposed to like identify with her and put ourselves in her shoes, but I think because the film wants us to underestimate her and see her as like nothing.
One point I wanted to bring up that I think, I love this sort of dynamic where like we don't all agree. Like, that's great. What I where I see a little bit more of KT, your point of view on this is Grace goes from someone who's reliant on Alex to turn on the cameras, to unlock the door, to do everything to get her out. And then she's also got the fake elephant gun. And it's only the moment when the fake elephant gun doesn't fucking work and Alex is basically knocked out by his crazy ass family, that now she knows that she has to do everything herself. And she goes from being kind of a fake superhero with the fake ass fucking gun to being a real one, because she's wearing all of the scars and everything of the ordeal. Like, she goes from having this brilliant white wedding dress to she's, shot, she's stabbed, she cuts her hand, like her hand literally gets a hole blown in it. And, then covered in blood, covered in viscera from rotting goats and corpses in a
that
pit.
Part I almost lost it.
Yeah, I mean, it's nasty, but like, she becomes kind of the hero that we saw in the mirror at the beginning of that whole hunt sequence.
But what is her arc, though?
I don't think she. I mean, I don't think she has a full arc. I think it's more like the real her coming out.
I do.
Katie,
you said something.
What do you
just said something right there that made me realize there's a graphic match at the end of this film.
Okay.
When she's covered in blood, smoking the cigarette. We're front on, but if we were slightly to the left, that does feel like Charlie Sheen in Platoon at the end of that scene where everybody fucking dies. And there's this like, oh, Charlie Sheen is this young, bright-faced guy at the beginning of Platoon. And we see his character arc of this like trusting people who don't wind up being as good as they are, seeing good people get killed despite by the evil. And like we're there with him through the whole thing. And that's his character arc. I feel like it's very similar to that. It's a really action-y movie for me.
It also bookends it from the beginning. The beginning of the movie opens like when we get past the whole like flashback scene.
Or the teaser, yeah.
Where it opens with Grace smoking before the wedding because she's nervous about the ceremony. Mm-hmm. She's excited, but at the same time she's hiding the fact that she's smoking from her family or new family. And it ends with her smoking, being like, "Yep, that was a fucking hell of a night," and kind of bookends it nice. But I didn't think about Platoon being kind of a callback.
She's a Halloween costume.
Oh.
I also thought of falling down a lot.
Yeah.
Well, when we got to the end, I was like, dude, do not tell her you're not serving breakfast anymore because she'll fucking kill you.
Wait, how much is this can of soda?
Yeah. I mean, I do think, though, John, to kind of your point, I do think this movie does put a bit more on the brothers than they do on Grace. And I don't know if that's because it's 2019 and they were like, well, we can't have this unknown Samara Weaving be someone to kind of focus on. Let's focus on Adam Brody because at that time he was popular.
I think,
You know?
Katie, I think you kind of made a point that I call it like the Indiana Jones effect, that like if you really think about it, and I love the Indiana Jones movies to death, but Indy doesn't really have a character. He's a hat and a whip and a leather jacket. And that's because then you can pretend watching the movie, no matter who you are, that you're Indiana Jones. You can just project yourself on there. And I think that her, you know, they want the audience, you know, especially the female audience, to project themselves onto her and be like, how would I survive? Like, you know, what would I do? And things like that. So I think that they don't want to flesh her out too much because they want the audience to, again, pretend that they are in the hat and the whip and the leather jacket.
And you bring up a great point. Like, she is a great Halloween costume. Go to your Salvation Army, get a cheap like a prom dress, a white dress, tear it up, put on your favorite Chucks, cover yourself in silly blood. Like, all of those things are true, and they may not necessarily be a bad thing, because when you're trying to make a horror movie, you kind of want to have this iconography. You want people to be able to see a striped sweater and think, Freddy Krueger. Like, there's this shorthand that makes your film recognizable and can also make it last a little longer in people's memories.
Yeah. No, I think Grace definitely is, like, I didn't even think about Indiana Jones, but I think that is probably the closest thing, because even the way that Grace deals with every situation, like the OnStar guy in the car, like that whole sequence when she finally gets a hold of a car, right? Like, this is after this woman has had to deal with getting shot at. She's has a hole in her hand. She is survived a pit full of nasty shit. And she finally got a hold of a car. And like, as the audience, you're thinking, yay, she's finally gonna escape. She calls OnStar on this car and gets a hold of, what's his name? Like Justin?
Nat Faxon is the actor. Oh, yeah, Justin.
I think his name's Justin. And she has this back and forth conversation with Justin.
Yep.
And she's like, hey, Justin, I just get a hold of, people are trying to fucking kill me. And Justin's like, oh, well, let me go ahead and contact the police. This car's, by the way, been reported stolen. So I need to kill the car. And she's like, Justin, please don't go fuck your mother, Justin. Like, just that sort of thing.
But I love, like, after she'd fucked up the butler, he still has enough cognizance about him to get his phone out and report the car stolen.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do also love, there were a couple of scenes where she tries, like, even in that, just before that, she tried to get a ride from somebody and they just go past her. And she just screams. And it's a very hard thing, I think, for actors to do, to give a scream of accuracy that doesn't feel overdone. But this like incredible frustrated scream of like, one more fucking thing. I was like, yes, that is exactly where I am as an audience right now. Just
I guarantee the auditions for this movie, you had to scream. Like, if you didn't have that scream, you're not getting the part.
Totally.
Margot Robbie couldn't scream well enough, so they didn't.
Poor Margot Robbie. She was like, all I wanted to do was be in this movie instead of Wolf of Wall Street.
She's like, oh, shit, now I got to go make that Barbie movie. That's never going to succeed.
This is why you don't have a no goat cistern clause.
Yes, that's true. Well, I did want to bring up the I think probably one of the most visceral like scenes in the movie, and that is where the little shit kid does shoot Grace's hand, and she does get stuck into that goat pit and has to impale her hand on a nail to escape.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts on that one?
This is the anti-Home Alone. Like, this, like it's like, oh, this isn't funny. That is, oh, you know.
That was one that I was going, oh shit! Like I was like, ooh, ooh.
I love that she decks the kid
Yes.
so quickly. That
Yes.
was also, anytime you're gonna punch a kid in a movie, you're gonna get an extra star from me, like a whole extra star. 4 stars.
A whole
now.
extra star.
But also the way that this movie kind of takes a tactical wheel of expectation, and they're like, this is this and this is that, and so you see the nail for a good long time, and we
Yep.
know she has a hole in her hand, so we know full well not only is this about to happen, I'm still gonna be upset about it. So when it does, you're like, no, but you've had like 30 seconds to realize it's gonna happen. My side note there, though, is that like, it doesn't work. When you have to do it through the wrist. If it's through the finger, it'll just slip right out through there.
Yep.
So I like it, though. It's easier for practical.
Yeah, but it's just very, very, very gooey.
I
And a lot
just-
of blood.
I just watched this movie like 12 hours ago, but I have a question. The kid,
Yeah.
kids, are those Adam Brody's kids?
No,
They're the
they're
girls'
the sisters.
kids.
Oh, they're
sisters'
they're the sisters'
Yeah.
kids. Okay, because I was gonna
With
say,
the guy.
because it kind of like mirrors, what he had to go through as a kid, but I guess it's not his kid, so he doesn't care. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I mean,
I
he
don't
does
think he would-
care. You know, he doesn't like, because there is that moment where Daniel does talk to his sister and is like, "Do we really have to do this shit?" And the sister's like, "Well, I don't want my kids to like die," because it apparently affects the entire family.
Right. Well, how
Whether they're-
deep does that like do third cousins explode, or do you have to be
Probably.
in the house?
I don't know. I don't know.
I got some Gremlins type questions here. This is like
Yeah,
Gremlins
yeah.
too. Like, what if you have something stuck in your teeth and it's after midnight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't think he would have had kids, though.
No.
Getting married is one thing, but I don't think he would consciously put another kid through exactly what he went through.
No. I think that Daniel definitely is like, I'm not going to subject someone to this if I don't have to, right? Like that's not happening. But getting towards the end of this movie, of course, Grace, going through all hell, eventually does make it back to the house, and we get the quote unquote like, hey, Google gobble gobble, one of us cloak and
Hail
sacrifice scene. Yeah, Hail Satan scene. Everyone's in cloaks, and Alex at this point, it's still like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to. Blah blah blah. Don't kill my wife. And yes, Daniel sabotages this scene by poisoning the entire family.
A man saved her.
Yes, a man saved her.
See, that's what I'm talking
man-
about. Yeah.
Bought her additional time.
Bought her additional time.
Yeah.
And Daniel gets shot in the neck by one of his family.
Yeah. Well, he gets
Yeah.
shot by his own wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, his own wife shot him.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she's a piece of shit. And when Grace is recovered again by this time Alex, who you thought he was nice the whole time. No, he's a piece of shit too. He's total piece of shit. Because as I said, the leopard can't change its spots.
Well, we did have an interesting scene earlier because they have to handcuff Alex because he, as you mentioned, Brian, he destroyed like the surveillance units and the door locks and everything. And so like, okay, he's not going to be helping us here. We got to just chain him up to a bed. And he has a scene where his mom, where he's like, given the opportunity, I'll kill you. And she's like, I don't believe you. And in the end, he does choose the family. She was right. Like, you think, as you mentioned, Katie, like, you think you're better than us, but all you did was leave. You just buy some time.
No, he wasn't. He lived that life. He knows what that life is.
Well, he only chooses the family when he realizes that Samara Weaving, Grace, isn't going to choose him. That it has to be two people choosing each other. When he looks at her and she's like, won't let him touch him, and he goes, oh, we're not going to be together after this. That's when he decides to kill her because he can't. I can't have you. No one can.
Yeah.
Response. So it's like, oh, you shitty little fuck. You don't even actually choosing your family. You're just mad.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this was in preparation for this episode. This was the third or fourth time I've seen this movie.
Oh.
But I want to go back to like the first time you guys saw this movie. Did you think they were actually going to die, or did you think that the big joke or moral was that it was all nonsense the entire time?
KD, you're the guest. You could start.
Oh, again, with the tactical wheel of these kinds of movies, I knew that we were going to get a fake out and then a real reveal. I also know they always end with like tons of blood cannons, meat cannons, everything. So I was like, this can't be it. But I did really love that they had that beat because it made the extra beat that much more delicious.
Yeah. I thought, like, I first of all, when I saw this film first time, I had no idea what I was getting in for. Like I did not see a trailer for this. I think I saw this like in the thick of the pandemic. Like it was one of those watches. So
Hey,
like,
look what's streaming. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was 100% that. It was look what's streaming. And I had no idea what I was going to get into. I had no idea about the devil stuff. I didn't see any trailers for it. So like when we're going to that moment where people are like, I don't know if there really is a LaBelle, that sort of thing. I don't know if LaBelle's real.
Or he was just some grifter.
Yeah. So I had no idea that it was actually going to be real. I thought these were rich assholes who had it in their head for generations that the devil was the reason why they were wealthy. And I totally thought like, oh yeah, now you're all going to have to deal with the consequences of the police when you realize, yeah, you were full of shit. So when they all start popping like water balloons, not like brimstone and fire, fucking blood water balloons. I think the first time I saw it, I was like, holy shit. Like I literally screamed, holy shit. Because it's like one after another popping. Like even when like the sister and her family and her kids like run into the other room and you just see blood explosion.
They couldn't show
They
kid
couldn't.
explode.
They wouldn't show the kids popping.
Yeah.
Too woke.
You're like fucking pussies. Too woke.
I really appreciated that scene because, again, this is all practical effects. So
Yeah.
most of those explosions are done in a reverse shot of people's reaction to the explosions with a literal, like, shotguns filled with the non-toxic blood and like,
Yep.
clumps. And the actors were so into it. The guy who plays the sister's husband, who looks like the gay friend in Beetlejuice.
Otho.
Oh, he does look like Otho.
Looks like Otho.
Yeah.
Specifically asked if he could get, like, can you shoot me in my mouth? I want to get a whole mouthful of it so that I can spit it out. And it, like, they were into it.
I love that. But yeah, I totally, to answer your question, John, I did not know that was happening. So like when they all start popping off, I'm like, this is fucking awesome. Like, yes.
And the Satan, LaBelle,
LaBelle.
right? LaBelle, excuse me. Yeah, not LaBelle, LaBelle. When the gust of smoke hits the chair and we see him, do you think that that's like a nod of like, well played?
Good,
You
yes.
broke the curse. Yeah.
Yeah, well, not broke Grace, just like well played, Grace, that sort of thing. Well, what's interesting to note is that, and I'm curious if you folks picked this up. So, Alex is actually fine after they all start popping off. Like, did you guys get that? Like, because he married Grace, and she survived, he actually would have been okay. It isn't until the moment she says, I want a divorce, that he explodes. So like Alex actually could have lived if Grace was like, yeah, I'm still cool with you.
It's gonna be a hard sell. There's gonna be a lot of couples therapy there.
No, but I mean, like had Alex not gone along with the fucking family,
Right.
and had that turn and remained the same type of person he was through the whole movie, and not been a dick at the very end, he probably would have survived, because the minute he said, oh, we can be together now, and she said, no, I want a divorce, that's when he explodes.
See, I may fight you on that because
Okay.
They say it's like, oh, when Walter White puts on the hat, he becomes Heisenberg. No, it's when Heisenberg takes off the hat, he becomes Walter White.
Yeah.
And I think that he was wearing the facade of, I'm not like this, I'm such a good guy, I only need the simple things but no, he was as much of a scumbag as them the entire time.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm just saying in terms of like the curse itself.
Yeah.
Like I think he actually probably would have survived, not turned into a blood water balloon. But because of the fact that Grace said, I want a divorce, that means the marriage is off. That means she survived. That means he's now unmarried to her. Boom, he explodes.
It could have, but it could have simply been for comic timing.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, it could have been.
Yeah. I mean, they're all popping off not in succession. It could have been, it goes from oldest to youngest, and there were some cousins in Scotland who needed to pop off before he gets to pop off. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Did the aunts and uncles like halfway across the country just explode in their living room? Or do you have to be in the house?
To go back to that question you said earlier about LaBelle being there and LaBelle, LaBelle. When he nods at her, I almost wonder if it's not him saying like, okay, you're the family now. Like, we have the deal.
Interesting.
But they just end up hunting her again in the sequel.
She said, I want
no idea what happens in the sequel.
We don't know yet.
No divorce, though. She gets to keep the money, If you take the money from the family, then you've taken the spoiled goods from the curse.
Well, one thing that that old joke, like when you read a story to a little kid and go, and they live happily ever after, and they go, then what? All I can think at the end of this movie is they are going to walk into this house, if it's not completely engulfed in fire by this point, but they're going to walk in and they are going to just see exploded human remains, a massacre that makes the Manson family blush, and a house halfway burnt to the ground and a woman covered in blood. How does she talk her way out of this one?
I don't think she's really concerned with talking her way out of anything right now. She just saw her in-laws explode after trying to hunt her down for all night. She's had her hand impaled, had to sit in a pit full of rotted goats and old husbands, all sorts of shit. I mean, like, nasty shit. I don't think she
could bring them to the goat pit. That's a perfect example of what
bring
they've already been doing. That survives. But yeah, there's a lot of explaining to do.
There's a lot of explaining.
Sure we leave at the most crucial part.
I bet the sequel doesn't tell us at all. She'd be like, no, I survived that and I came out clean on the other side. And then the sister will go, oh, okay. And then we won't get an explanation. Well,
I think it picks up right after, like the trailers for Ready or Not 2, I think show right after the events of this. So I imagine it's right after.
I mean, I'm excited for the sequel because I did enjoy this one, but it does seem excessive. It's the Home Alone 2 syndrome.
I had no idea they were making a sequel. The fact this movie is out
7 years,
this many years after the original, that's kind of crazy. Mm-hmm. Obviously, like Samara Weaving at the time the movie was made was not as well known as she is now.
You're right.
So that's part of it.
I think it's kind of like a bottle episode. We've got like 8 people, 1 location. We can rent out that 1 location. This was at Parkwood Estates, which you can recognize from Billy Madison and 12 Monkeys and X-Men, I think.
Yep.
And so it's constantly rented out. It's easy to access, easy to get for periods of time. Doesn't cost that much money to make this movie. Everybody in Hollywood's not great about choosing to make a movie based on any other fact than the fact that I just said. Yeah. It costs very little to make very much, and they're like, greenlight another one. So I think that's why we have a sequel where maybe they don't even care if it makes sense.
True. Very good. Very good point. Well, with that said, do we want to get to some reviews?
Ooh, let's do it.
I did want to say just one thing before we move on. Do you guys know the movie Hudson Hawk?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Great. So Andy McDowell is in this movie, and we didn't mention that.
That's true. She is in this movie.
She's
And
mama.
she's the mama who like really likes Grace, but at the same time is like totally willing to kill her.
Yeah. And she has the great fight scene with her. Like, to get Annie McDowell to do a fight scene and get her face bashed in, like, kudos to Annie. She's also in Hudson Hawk. I watched this with possibly the world's biggest Hudson Hawk fan ever.
They exist?
You mean the producer of Hudson Hawk?
Like the producer of Hudson, the
Like-
ghost of Danny Aiello? Is that
Go to the paint fan of Hudson Hawk, which meant that every single time Andy McDowell came, well, not every single time, he did it like every 20 minutes, so just enough for me to forget. You'd see Andy McDowell and he'd start going,
Oh my God.
and then at the end, when she has a crossbow and she misses and she says, it's been a long time, we both thought that, like, at the end of Hudson Hawk, the bad guy is killed, spoiler alert,
Yeah.
with a crossbow. And he thought it was in reference to that.
Oh, I wonder if it is.
It was
'Cause that
actually
is something like, that would be interesting.
I think Sandra Bernhardt is the one who uses the
is,
bow in
yes.
it. But I like to think that is a reference to Hudson Hawk because why not? Why not put that
Hudson
in
Hawk Extended Universe.
That movie is so fucked up. Like, that's one of those ones that like you remember watching it on HBO in the 90s because it was one of those movies that just threw on there with Troll 2.
It was cheap.
Because they're like, it's cheap. No one went and saw this. We got to fill time in the middle of the afternoon. And like us elder millennials were home at that time watching Hudson Hawk.
Cinema.
All right. So let's get to some reviews that I pulled from Letterboxd. Now, we're doing this on Riverside, so I don't have my fancy little transition thing. That's okay. I did want to point out one thing, though. I'm trying something a little bit different here for at least reviews going forward. So for those of you who are listening or watching us, did you know we have a Discord channel? Like, we actually have one. And I'm going to start doing a thing where I'm going to start asking people in our Discord channel. So if you listen to us regularly, you're not part of our Discord channel, I'm going to start asking for these reviews that I want to be showing you be pulled from members of our Discord channel. It doesn't cost anything. It's free to join. Pop in there. I'm going to try to start using our Discord channel a bit more. But from this point forward, reviews are going to be coming, not from Letterboxd, but from you folks on our Discord channel. So go into the show notes, link in the description, join our Discord channel, and get your one sentence, smart ass review shown on the podcast. But in lieu of that, because I don't have any for this one, we're going to go to Letterboxd and look at Letterboxd's smart ass reviews. All right. So let me go ahead and share my fun screen here and we'll take a look at them. All right.
Brian has them in a PowerPoint with just star wipe for all.
Star wipe.
There are other ones.
There are other ones. All right. So first off, the one I've got up top here is Crazy Rich Caucasians.
Instead of Crazy Rich Asians. I see what you did there.
Yeah, I see what you did there. And yeah, I mean, the rich are truly different, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they
Especially
really are.
that level of rich.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah, that's that old money rich is we're talking about.
As Chris Rock once said, like, I'm talking about real rich. I'm not talking about Shaq. I'm talking about the guy that like signs Shaq's paycheck. That rich,
Yeah, that's a different type of rich. Review number 2, no cell phone in sight, literally just playing hide and seek. That is something that is interesting. There's never any moment like trying to do a movie like this where like you're totally reliant on no technology. It's kind of tough to explain. What are your thoughts on this, KT?
They did a lot of interesting things in this movie where they would they call it hanging a lantern, where you point it directly at the object and let the audience know. Like he says, "Oh, this is a passageway. The house has tons of passageways," so that we know that that's established later on. He gives her shoes so that she's not running around in high heels. this does feel a little bit like one of those weird spaces where you're like, you could have just literally said, when we're playing the game, we all put our cell phones in this bag because that's family game night. And they don't.
Yeah. That whole thing where I'm like, you're telling me that there's no cell phones? No one's got an Apple Watch or anything?
Well, the one guy, the brother-in-law, is watching a video on his phone on how to use the crossbow.
Yes, he is.
That's true. That's true.
So I imagine, everybody, including like the maids, unless they're not allowed to have phones, would have their phones. So she should have just searched their. Although those maid outfits were kind of tight.
I was going to say, John, where are they going to fit a phone at?
Yeah.
Where are they going to fit a phone at in the sex maid outfit?
But why doesn't she just sneak her way back up to the room? Because she probably left her phone to charge and the bedroom. Like sneak back up there and call 911.
Or stole the butler's phone from the rolled over car.
Yeah.
Any of these, if you just did one of these scenes, maybe 2 minutes would be more than enough. For like, oh, she tried, but it was,
See, that's the
somebody
problem.
Destroys her phone.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's the problem with a lot of these, recent movies is that technology can save us, in ways. So it's always, oh, we got no service out here, or oh no, our phones were taken away. I think the most ridiculous one was Halloween 2018 when like Laurie Strode's granddaughter is fighting with a guy and he throws her phone into nacho cheese and she just storms off. I'm like, oh, because she can't have a cell phone when Michael Myers is chasing her later. Okay.
Well, the nacho cheese, it just permeates the entire circuit board.
Yeah.
And you're never going to be able to listen or use that at all.
But at least they did something. Like,
That's
it's stupid. It's so stupid. You're like, that is really dumb. But at least you bothered to say, hey, as an audience, I know you're going to say, where are the cell phones? They're in cheese.
They're in cheese. Huh? Get it?
That
Get
damn
it?
wedding cheese.
We can't put our hand in the queso.
Yeah.
So there you go.
It's really hot. It's really hot.
All right. Review number 3. What if Grace pulled Cards Against Humanity? Do you think it would also fizzle out after 2 rounds?
Yeah, there's 52 cards. What are all the other games?
What are all the other games?
Gin, rummy.
Uno's on there, right?
Yeah.
And Uno's got to be like Uno's. Well, I'm thinking Uno's got to be the one that's like LaBelle really wants you dead. It's just nothing but draw 4 and wild cards. Okay.
Oh God! Imagine. I am not sure if in the sequel they do play hide and seek. What if they could endlessly sequel this movie by taking advantage of all the license-free games that exist in the world? Like, it's kind of Squid Gamesy, right? That they play kid games until you die in that.
Yeah.
All right. Review number 4 here. This one I think is just funny. Grace, what the fuck is wrong with you, you piece of shit, little tiny dick licker, fucking asshole, fucking ice creams, fucking rich people. Me, hey queen, girl, you have done it again, constantly raising the bar for us all and doing it flawlessly. I'd say I'm surprised, but I know who you are. I've seen it up close and personal. Girl, you make me so proud, and I love you.
Aww. Somebody needs to tell this reviewer that Grace is not real.
Grace is not a real person, but I appreciate the level of care that this person has for a fictional character.
Yeah.
That scream is so visceral. You really, as an audience member, feel rewarded by it.
Yeah. And you got to wonder, like, how many takes did it take to get that line? Right. Like that,
Yes.
that string of obscenities to screaming of fucking rich people.
Yeah, do you think that that's literally verbatim the script, or maybe a little ad-libbing? Is it her like Tears in Rain? Is this?
It depends on the filmmaker. Yeah, some of them might be like, you say how I fucking wrote it, or some people might be like, yeah, just it has on the page bunch of obscenities,
bunch of obscenities, scream, crazy, go nuts. But yeah, that's Ready or Not. I fucking love this movie. Not gonna lie, I think it's great. I think it's very, very fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing the sequel.
I'm on the other end. Just as a wrap up thought, like I'm excited to see it just because it'll be fun night out at the movies. But I'm worried that this is such a great pocket movie that it just should just exist in its own world. That I'm worried that one sequel or even many, because it depends on how much this second one makes, will end up kind of tarnishing the franchise.
You think it's
or
gonna be
tarnishing the
Mortal Kombat?
original.
You think it's gonna be Mortal Kombat Annihilation?
No, nothing could be that bad. But like,
Mortal
Katie, your
Kombat
face
1
is
is
like, how
perfect.
dare.
but you know, when you think of Halloween, you like, assuming that you like that movie, like you don't think of the classic '78. You think of this franchise that's been shoved into the ground. And I hope that they don't do this with Ready or Not.
Maybe it's like Aliens to Alien,
Ah.
because this is so off genre horror. Or it's more action horror. It's like Aliens. So what if they went and they made two more like Alien and more traditional horror? It could be a space that they're still able to fill there. I think there's a couple of interesting aspects to making a sequel so much later with the same director, same crew, and giving them more money. That makes me feel like, okay, well, they'll put that money into practical effects and building these big moments. And they already got some pretty big moments in this first piece. If done correctly, they could really capitalize on this. That being said, I really feel like John has a point, and there's probably going to be a letdown that happens here because there's not. I don't feel like there's a lot being said here besides rich people. So I'm not sure if more money is going to crank the story up or just crank the effects up.
Yeah. I mean, my hope, again, I haven't seen the film, so I don't know yet. My hope is that with the current climate, politically and socially, and more contempt for
Touché.
wealthy people, that the filmmakers are able to take that and distill it into the plot of this. And that's a hope, because I think that's the only way that a sequel to this movie could really work, just because collectively, for those of us who aren't bajillionaires, we, I think as a whole, kind of have contempt for the wealthy right now. And I think a movie like this could be smart enough to use that in its plot.
Brian, I will not sit here and listen to you besmirch job makers.
Okay, well, they can listen to another movie review podcast. I don't care.
Plus, White Lotus is very popular as well, so there is already this like baseline want for it. So if they could make the film wittier, you're right. This is exactly the right time to try and do it.
Right.
I think the tone is going to be exactly the same, because they're in the trailer. There's Sarah Michelle Gellar with an old-fashioned gun being, driven around on a golf cart while she shoots at her. So I think it's going to be just as silly.
And I believe Elijah Wood is in it.
Yep.
So it's going to be insane. It's going to be
insane. Like,
he does not get out the couch unless it's nutballs, and I'm here for that.
No, I saw him in the remake to The Toxic Avenger, and I was just like, "Whoa, okay,
okay.
crazy."
Yeah.
Oh, go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say, I do think that this movie, if you're listening to this and you have for some reason gotten this far and not seen the movie yourself, I do think this movie is a very good, even movie for people who don't typically like horror movies, because it's so funny and actiony. So that's a real good sell for me. If I'm looking for a movie that's horror based for people who want maybe like horror light, you're gonna get a better result. If you're gonna pitch this towards someone who's like, I live, breathe horror, I know every single person who's played Michael Myers, they're probably gonna feel let down by this, so it's really on the middle, and it is gonna be what you bring to it.
I think all around, like John, you mentioned, like, you think the sequel is going to be a fun night at the movies. And I think that's what I think this movie is it's a fun night of watching a fun movie, and it's what this is. It's a fun movie. It's not supposed to be taken seriously. I don't look at this movie and go like, oh yes, that is the true darkest level of horror at all. It is totally the Robert Eggers of horror movies, if I ever saw one.
I don't see horror unless it's A24.
Yeah, I don't see it unless
Neon.
I don't see it unless it's got Hereditary vibes. Like, nah, dude, it's like, this is a fun watch. And that's what I like about it. It's a fun watch. Yeah. But speaking of fun watches, KT, you've got some stuff that you want to promote, right? Like some film festival
Yes.
stuff going on.
Yes,
Go
I
ahead and
do.
tell us a little bit about that.
At the end of April, so it's going to be starting on April 23rd, going for 3 days, that weekend of the 23rd, there'll be the East Hampton Film Festival in East Hampton, Massachusetts, which I've
Ooh.
been working on now for like, God, it's our 5th year, and I think I've been working on it for 4 years now. And we do all different kinds of shorts. We have a couple different featurettes. We're just about to announce the films that we've picked. I'm heading the committee for horror, so there will be a block of
Nice.
horror films, and very excited about that. I'm also making the trophies this year, so we will have awards for the first time. And I am making ceramic, like little. They look like a popcorn container, but they will have inside them a little piece of like a laurel plant because they're ceramic planters.
Mhm.
Because you'll have won your laurels. So,
Oh, I like that.
see, so a local artist will be making the trophies for this very local film festival that does actually have films from all over the world submitted this year. We had 175 films to watch.
Wow. So many films, so little time.
Yeah.
To whittle down. Yeah.
How do you manage all that? Because obviously, like, you're handling just the horror side of it, right? But there's other genre. No, you're handling everything.
I'm the head of the horror selection committee.
Yeah.
I'm also on the comedies committee,
Oh God.
dramas, and then I'm like been in part of it for so long that the goal is to watch all of them, or if there's any questionable on the bubble ones, I get assigned those ones as well. So like a lot.
So how do you handle all of that?
Start as early as you can. Submission starts as soon as the festival ends this year, and so you just as soon as you can.
Yeah.
And I will admit, if your film is 3.5 hours long and I don't like the first 30 minutes, I'm not watching your whole film. I'm so sorry. I'm just not.
Have you had those that come in there 3.5 hours? Oh God.
This is my Lawrence of Arabia.
This is my. It's like there's nothing wrong with brevity, man. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that.
I've done reviewing for festivals. Man, I'll tell you, when there's like an 8-minuter, I'm like, oh yeah, let's go.
Somebody threw a 2-minute in here. Oh shit! It's a TikTok.
That's a TikTok. All right, so you got that festival. Do you have anything else going on that you want to tell?
I do.
Ooh,
I
got
also
more things.
So you guys familiar with the app Momitu?
No.
It is like Tubi and Mubi kind of had a baby.
Okay.
In that it's an app that you can watch free movies on. It's all free, very easy to get
Sweet.
onto. It's and they do specialize a lot in like foreign and classic films, and they have a film contest. They're having a bunch of them this year for short films, and you go onto the Momitu app and you can see all of the films that are up for this month's drama selection.
Mhm.
And I'll be watching all of those and getting together with 4 other judges who have been chosen online. They just announced us on Momitu's Instagram and TikToks. If you go there, you can see the other judges. We have categories. We have whole scorecards on the 26th of this month. If you're following Momitu, you can find this on YouTube. We're going to do a live event where the judges get together. We're going to break down how we rated everybody so there's full transparency, and we'll announce the winner for this month's drama. And then each month there will be a different category leading up to, of course, October, when we'll do horror.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, I never heard of it. Is this brand new? Is this like a new app?
It's definitely been around for at least a year, and I want to say a
Okay.
little bit longer than that. My friend Harry from Lobby Intros has been doing the introductions to their classic films. So
Okay.
it's really cool. If you wanted to watch The Maltese Falcon,
Yeah.
you could go to their app, click on it, and then you have the option of listening to Harry talk for like 2 or 5 minutes before the film starts. He'll tell you the context in which the film was released, concept about like the Hays Code, interesting trivia that's going to really set but not spoil the movie for you, because it's maybe a little bit older than you're used to, and then you can watch the movie kind of knowing stuff that really kind of
So it's
makes
kind
it
of
way more
like
interesting.
Turner Classic Movies, like they used to do, where they would have
Yes.
what's his face, Mankiewicz, pop up, and he'd tell you about the movie, and then then they'd go into the film. Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Literally, yeah.
That's cool. I miss those days.
Yeah, and Harry's another judge on this as well, so we got together. It's really fun. He's been on my podcast a couple of times. Super obsessed with the National Treasure.
Oh. You got anything else going on, or is it just podcast, TikTok? That's
isn't that enough?
No, he's like, I got more.
For right now, I think that we'll cap it at that. But if you're following me, my
Yep.
handle is Movie Runtime on all of the social thingies except for Twitter because I don't tweet.
No.
But yeah, if you're following me, you'll see what I'm up to besides the festivals. Although honestly, trying to watch 200 films
That's
in the
a
month
lot.
of March is pretty much what I'm up to.
Oh, you got that's. Oy. That's a lot of movies. Like I've had to like watch my students work, and I love teaching, and I love looking at student work. But even when you're watching like 17 or 18 short films and short like motion graphic stuff, you're just like, I gotta go through these, and then you gotta get feedback. But you just have to like say yay or nay. Do you give feedback in these films too, or are you just saying you're good?
I typically will put at least a sentence down just to jot a note for it because everybody can see each other's notes. So yeah, I try to at least give a sentence. If it's really problematic, if you disrespected my time, I ain't respecting your time. So there are a few films where I'm just like, no, just no. And we all know no. There's
like,
7 other
no,
no's.
No. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Katie, where can people find info about you, info about your film festivals? Just one last like call to our people. Like where can people find info about you?
Go to @Movie Runtime or type my name into Google.
It does work. It does work.
Straight up. The picture you'll get is me, the very first picture. It's a weird name. No one else has it.
Awesome. John, where can they find you at on the internets?
Facebook, Instagram, and over at YouTube at JDubs Video Nasties. So go check that out. And if you like this show and you like me on it, do that whole thing that Brian's about to tell you to do, which is the like and the subscribe and the share. And you know all the buttons. You do.
All the buttons.
Just hit them, except the
Just
thumbs
hit
down.
them all. Yeah, don't hit the thumbs down one. Of course, if you have loved this episode, please do me a favor and share it. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Share it with your in-laws that you question that they might be satanic worshipers. On top of that, you can follow us on your favorite podcast app of choice by going to cinemapsychoshow.com/follow. We've got little buttons there. You just press one and boom, you're following us on your favorite app so you never miss an episode. And of course, if you're watching us here on YouTube, hey, thank you so much for doing that. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell, hit the little notification, hit the thumbs up. And of course, let us know down in the comments, what did you think of Ready or Not 2019? And are you going to go see the sequel? Let us know. Maybe we'll feature it on another episode. With that said, we'll see you next time.
This movie should have been called Here I Come. Ready or Not 2, Here I Come.